the consultancy, the fan engagement consultancy. Like, what are some ways that you're working with sports organizations? And like, if you could share briefly like a few cases or examples, I think that would be really great for the audience
Yeah, sure.
to learn and
So
listen.
yeah, sure. So I worked for a couple of organizations based on my fan engagement consulting, which really kicked off after my work in at AZ, because then I really got the practical experience. Before that, it was more a personal branding
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So I had a website, published a lot of articles around it, and it was more my view on the topic.
Yeah.
After AZ, it really kicked off with a lot of projects for UEFA, for example. So we went to a couple of smaller national associations where we were doing an assessment on how can they improve on their social media analytics, or how can they improve on their email marketing based on CRM data.
Right.
So done a couple of projects for UEFA. I've done a lot of presentations and workshops for leagues. So yeah, the bigger leagues inside of Europe, I've helped with, but also clubs. So most recently I've been working for a club in Scotland to get also a CRM system installed. Fascinating club, just not having that data layer ready yet. So that was a very interesting project. But before that, I've also worked for a club in Belgium, setting up a fan strategy. Okay. So really on how can we improve our fan approach in the long term, rather than just going from game day to game day or from year to year. How can you really try to roll out, and how do you expand your database to search which areas around the key city that you have are very densely populated, but you don't have many fans in your database yet. So can you activate events there to get these people in your database? Other ones, where's your fan base highly present, plus it's a densely populated area? Could you do something to activate them there as well to make sure they remain a fan? So it's a different approach. These are fan strategy. Under this fan strategy was a lot of fan acquisition, but also fan retention as key elements.
Yeah, no, I mean, like makes total sense, and it's good to see as well, and it's interesting, I guess, for you too to kind of go to these different leagues, different clubs, like in different countries, and I guess like just to follow up on that, like what have been, I mean, like are there any how can I say similarities, and what are some I guess big differences that you've seen, like comparing, like for instance, like Belgium and Scotland, which is something you recently worked on to kind of see. Like, I know markets are different, and they tend to kind of have some differentiating factors, but at the same time, like I'm sure you find like some similarities in the gaps that are lacking.
Well, what I found is indeed there are similarities, and this is something that luckily there are more similarities in the sports domain than we tend to acknowledge or realize.
Right.
So these were two non-top teams.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because they have by nature a less superior fan base. Ajax here, for example, is by far has the biggest fan base. That was always, even before their massive Champions League Champions League round a few years ago.
Yeah,
they've always been the biggest club in the Netherlands. So there, you would say it's quite easy to attract new fans. But how do you do this for the layer under there? And often they are more geographically bound. So this club is Scotland as well. It was not in Glasgow, and it was very much, you could tell that just diving into the database, you could tell that it was very much closer around where the stadium was, right? So this is, but there's still room for expansion. Instead of taking the attitude of, but we have big clubs in Glasgow, so why would fans become fans of us? I'm now getting into the Mark Bradley area, but because you offer something different. You do not offer sportive success, so there's a different reason why fans get attracted to you as a club. It could be the community feel, which everyone's always constantly looking for to to strengthen their social ties, to connect, to build new ties, and football clubs can facilitate that. So, and that's something that I really like to do when I work with clubs, to help them understand, what do your fans want? What are they searching for? Why do you come to the stadium? This is part of a standard assessment that I do with clubs.
Right.
Asking the fans, why do you come to the stadium? And the answers are very interesting often. Often they say, hey, yes, this season ticket has been passed on for generations in my family, or I just became a season ticket holder because my boyfriend has had one, and he always wanted me to bring along, and he says that it's safe now for women. Those kind of things. So it's very interesting to understand better as a club, why do I do this? And even further, walking the fan walk is even better. So actually not getting into your suit and your fancy hospitality areas, but actually walking the fan walk. What does it mean to have a thick jacket inside the stadium, to walk from the city to the stadium, to in the dying cold in winters, which you in Norway know even more about than I do. So how is that? How's that experience? And what are the key elements that fans meet along their fan journey that you could maybe soften or improve? So it doesn't mean that you need to hang heaters inside your stadium, but are there areas, if it's windy inside the stadium and it's cold, feels extra cold? Can you take away the windiness from the stadium, which is something that we've been working on at AZ, for example? So I like to work with smaller clubs.
Yeah, I mean, like it's obviously, you know, very interesting the factors that you bring up here, and like literally what it comes down to at the end of the day is just understanding, you know, the fan behavior, and again, like the reasoning, right, behind why they're there, and perhaps also why they're not showing
Why
up.
exactly. Why are you not fan of this big Scottish club, and you are of ours, even though you live in this in Glasgow still?
So